We are back home from TIFF and we have another review of another banger. This comes from the Oscar-winning director Chloe Zhao, Hamnet. This film has been making massive waves at film festivals, right?
Yes, I've heard people even saying it's life-changing.
Yes, the hype for this film coming into TIFF was through the roof, couldn't have been higher. Well, we've seen Hamnet, and I can definitely see what all the hype was about.
This was my most anticipated movie because it's based off one of my favorite books, Hamnet, by the same name, and I loved it. I was pleasantly surprised at how well this adaptation turned out.
And in terms of Zhao's previous work, I would say I'm a fan and admirer of her work, though I wouldn't say that her films have made just life-altering impressions on me as a whole. Perhaps I'm not like naturally in tune with my spiritual side as much as she is. However, this is hands down my favorite film by far that she's ever made.
Oh yeah. Me too. By far, favorite thing she's ever made. I kind of agree with you too in the same sense that I haven't really completely connected with everything she's made. But the leap from No Man Land to this was substantial.
Yvette, why don't you tell a little people about what Hamnet is?
So for those who don't already know, Hamnet is a fictional account about William Shakespeare, played by Paul Mescal, and it's about him and his family, but it's told through the eyes of his wife, Agnes, played by Jessie Buckley. The majority of this story surrounds a major tragedy, which becomes the source of inspiration behind one of Shakespeare's most famous tragedies, Hamlet.
And this is one of those films where visual poetry meets story, accumulating into one rather emotional experience. With Zhao's last film, No Man Land, it was this kind of lyrical, contained human drama that showcases the landscapes of the American West. Hamnet really takes her signature style to a new level, adding in exceptional period detail, dreamy imagery of nature, and a heart-wrenching story at its core that really melds together in one, again, powerful experience. And what really struck me with Hamnet is really just how incredibly intimate the story is, yet how incredibly grand it feels. And that grandness really comes from Zhao's ability to really highlight our connection with nature in ways that you would see in maybe a Terrence Malick film. Cinematographer Lucas Zal really showcases the majesty of nature with a very naturalistic eye. It's one of the most beautiful looking films that I've seen this year.
Yeah, I was very pleased to see that the movie looked exactly how the book describes. It's very rustic and earthy, but whimsical at the same time. There are more magical elements in the book than in the film. I think Zhao definitely made a good choice by keeping it more grounded. It's just I think it was a better approach for more.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in the film, she is a bit, I guess would you call her a witch? She has powers.
I think in the book, it's more prevalent that she's more a witch and she has special powers. And I think they slightly hint towards that in the film.
Right.
They don't harp on it too much. And
she comes across as just really incredibly in tune
like intuitive,
with nature and intuitive, right. And the pacing of the film, I wouldn't say is slow. It's steady. Very steady, and Zhao really kind of hypnotically draws you into these characters' lives. And what starts out as being just this like tender love story turns into heart-wrenching tragedy, and then turns into something just so moving. The film really puts you through, the emotional ringer, to say the least.
The emotional highs in this movie are very high, and the lows are extremely low. If sentimental value was like a minimalist when it comes to emotion, Hamnet is definitely a maximalist when it comes to emotion. They go full out.
Yeah, and aside from Zhao's delicate direction, it is Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal who both give towering performances. Jessie Buckley is just so emotionally raw, navigating to all these different stages of Agnes's life, from being in love, then to grieving and very guttural pain, and then to the final 20 minutes, where it's just some of the most beautiful acting that you're going to see this year.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually.
And Paul Mescal, I think, is equally as excellent in this film. He's plays literally a tortured artist, and he really taps into his ability to play tortured characters like we've seen in After Sun, for example. A man who's stricken with just so much inner turmoil.
As soon as I found out, like as soon as you told me that Jessie Buckley was cast as this character, I was like, oh my God, she's perfect. Like, she's perfect. This character really needs to have like this kind of wild, untamed, free spirit. She has to also have this rugged strength, both physical and spiritual strength, which I think is very important to the role in the story, because Agnes is supposed to feel almost unbreakable, which makes her story even more heartbreaking. She brought all of those qualities that are in the book. And Mescal's character has like dual personality in the book. He starts off one way and he completely like changes by the end of the book. He becomes like a totally different person. And I think Mescal is perfect for like that second phase of that character's journey. In the film, we mostly only see that second half, so it works out perfectly, I think.
There's also a really incredible supporting performance by young actor Jacoby Jupe, who plays their sensitive son, Hamnet. So much of the film really relies on the likability of this character, and we don't just like this kid. I mean, we just adore this kid. He is the definition of protect this kid at all costs. He's so sincere, he's so pure, he's so sweet, and what makes this devastating chapter of this film all the more devastating is within his performance here. He's Jacob Tremblay, the room vibes with this one. And I have to say, overall, under the direction of another director, this film could have just been too unbearably sad to the point where it's just too melodramatic, way too heavy. I'm not the type of audience member to begin with that loves to just like wallow in devastating stories. That's not me. But Zhao has such elegance in her approach here, and it all leads to just a very satisfying, cathartic moment that kind of makes up for everything that you went through.
Yeah, I have to give Zhao so much credit, because there's a large section in the book where it's just really torturous and like really hard to get through, because it's just like pure depression. And she made the decision to not, excessively elongate that part of the book to the point where I think it would really exhaust the audience. So I think she made a really good choice. I think she did a great job with it. But for whatever reason, the ending didn't hit me as hard as maybe it hit others.
Because there were people surrounding us who were full on sobbing.
And it could just be the fact that I've read the book, I know what's coming, I kind of know the story, I know what to expect. So I went in there kind of bracing already.
Yeah, and for me, I know that based on the reception, I think I over-prepared myself emotionally. That when the ending came to me, it wasn't a surprise, that I kind of felt like I might know where the story's going to go.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that. Another thing, there was some really difficult topics in the book that the couple goes through that were omitted from the film, and that was also in my mind. All the chaos and the ugliness that is explored in the book really tugged at my heartstrings more than like this slightly more pristine personifications of the characters that were in the movie. Ultimately, the way they adapted it, both Chloe Zhao and the original author of the book, Maggie O'Farrell, they wrote the screenplay together. I really think they made the right choice, because I think that it's more palatable to a wide audience and it's less difficult to grapple with. And the characters are more likable this way.
Yeah. Well, for someone who didn't read the book, from my viewing, it just all really came together so beautifully there at the end.
Yeah, I honestly think she really nailed most of the vital parts of the book and condensed it into something that's really digestible. Because I understand that adding every single theme that's discussed in the book might make the movie too muddled and, unclear for audiences. For me, the highlight of the entire piece was Jessie Buckley, one of the best performances I've seen from an actor in a very long time. She really gave like every ounce of herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, as soon as the movie was over, I turned over to Ryan and I said, oh, she's winning, huh?
Yeah, and she doesn't follow the Oscar race at all, and she even knew that that's a winning performance right there. One of the themes of Hamnet is about how people process tragedies and deal with tragedies in different ways. I really resonated with that part of the story. Another film from last year that I really loved was called Ghostlight. Do you remember that one? Mm-hmm. And it's another film related to Shakespeare and explores very similar themes about how art can be used to help process grief and traumas, and how theater specifically could provide catharsis and healing, both on a personal and also a communal level. And just the ways Zhao and O'Farrell brought this story together in that last section was just simply beautiful.
I would argue that they changed the ending of the book for the better. It had a really nice emotional weight to it and clarity. Overall, I think that Chloe Zhao knocked it out of the park. She's made my favorite film so far this year.
So what would be your rating?
I think right now I'm at a 9 out of 10. I'm really tempted to give it a 10 out of 10, which I might after a second watch. I do mourn the loss of some of the things that that I'm kind of attached to in the book, some of the other stuff. But
yeah, you did mention one thing in the book, and I'm going to speak in code here, but it involves hats and the switching of hats, and a very key part of this movie. When you told me that, I was like, why did they not put that in the film? Because that is beautiful.
Yeah, I do mourn the loss of some of the symbolism and some of the other themes that were omitted. So I'm at a 9 out of 10 right now.
But you also tell me things in this story that were a lot more fantasy based, and this film is very grounded, and I'm always going to prefer a more grounded film than...
Yeah, she took a more grounded approach.
Well, I'm going to give this film a 9 as well. It's just really elegant filmmaking, some incredible acting. All right, let's talk about Oscar. So first off, I have to mention, how neat is it that Nomadland was so early in her career? She won Best Picture, of course, and then her very next film, Marvel swooped her up. She made Eternals, stumbled with critics, stumbled with the box office. It was looking pretty dark there for a moment. But then in her very next film, to squash any doubt, she comes back and hits it out of the park, receiving better reviews than even the film that she won her Oscar for. Like, this is why I follow the Oscar race right there, for stories just like that. This is going to be a big, massive Oscar player this year, as you can imagine. It's a period piece, and people are going to love this film. People are already loving this film. The Best Picture nomination, of course, is a lock. In fact, I would say it's 1 or 2 right now, currently, to win Best Picture. So a nom in Best Picture, for sure. Director, no doubt. Best Actress, obvious. And Best Supporting Actor, if that's where Paul Mescal runs, I think he should run in that category. Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Costumes, Best Casting. I think those are pretty much locks for nominations. And then we can get to, Best Production Design, potentially, editing and sound. I think it's very possible that this film is going to be the nomination leader on Oscar nomination morning. And I agree with everyone else in saying that I think Jessie Buckley has got this in the bag. I think it's going to be very difficult to find a performance this year that's going to top it. And if Mescal runs in the lead category, I think it's a very competitive category. But I do think he can be competitive there. If he runs in supporting, though, I think his performance would look so strong there. And when stacked against Stellan Skarsgård, I think Mescal takes it.
So is there an advantage for running lead?
Well, in the sense that if he runs lead, then that would also open the door for a nomination for Jacoby Jupe in the supporting category. So they're going to have to decide what they want to do there, whether they want to get 3 nominations for actings or whether they want to get 2 potential wins for acting. The reviews on Hamlet are just insane. The way Anora, I think, appealed to both type of voters, the artsy and the general audience members, Hamnet has that same quality. And on a ballot, this is going to score a lot of number 1s, a lot of number 2s, a lot of number 3s. And until I see one battle after another, which early word on that is just stupendous, insane. But this seems to have an emotional angle that you often see in Best Picture winners. And the battle, one battle after another, seems to be shaping up between those 2 films with Sinners kind of still hovering around there. So, but those are our thoughts. What are your thoughts? Do you think Hamnet is currently in the lead to win Best Picture? Do you think it can win?
I do.
You do? Well, let us know in the comment section below what you think, and we have more TIFF reviews coming your way, so hit that subscribe button. Thanks always for watching, and until next time, I'll see you
at the Oscars.
At TIFF.
And the Oscars.